You know, I like sleep. I really like sleep, just like my friend Toby here. But if you look at this right here is showing us what the Aurora is currently doing. Now, unfortunately, right now, it's the middle of the day, so we're not going to see it. However, if it holds out for another 6-7 hours, then we could be in for a pretty special night, and I don't think there's going to be much sleep on the cards. So let's go pack the gear. If you haven't photographed the Aurora before, or the night skies, please check out this video, because I go into high detail there about how to shoot at night and how to capture the stars in the Aurora. Otherwise, in this video, we're going to go chase the Aurora and hopefully create some special images here in Te Anau, in Fiordland, in the South Island of New Zealand. Let's do it. Alright, she's still clear. Let's go for a drive now, head into the national park, and we should get there right on time. The Aurora could always drop off, but it's still active on the charts, and everything's looking promising at the moment, so if we're lucky, we might get a bit of a show. But nothing's guaranteed in this game. Alright, I've just rocked up, and literally to the north, there's a massive beam. This is incredible, it's really strong. Well, it's pretty special, guys. It's very hard to film and shoot at the same time. There's some very beautiful beams just piercing through the night sky. The moon is almost 50%, so it's not incredibly dark. It means there's not as much contrast up in the sky. So it's a bit hard to see color per se, but very vibrant beams. Trying to film it here on the Sony. I've got a 50mm prime at f1.8, so hopefully you can just see that through the camera now. So I've just done a 2-minute exposure now. I'm getting the ISO right down, and that's giving me a very bright and clean image for the landscape, and then I can blend that into the previous faster exposure for the sky. It's really one of the better ways to do astro, and that way you're getting way more detail in the shadows. Well, unfortunately, it's dropped off really quick, and there's no phone service here, so it's hard to really look at the charts and see what's going on. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's it for the night, considering it's been going all afternoon. It looks like we probably just caught the tail end. I might just try one more location. That's the tip I was going to mention, is why sit here and just shoot the same photo over and over? If you've got an exposure for the land, you've captured a few sky exposures, you like what you've got there, if you can, might as well move on and mix it up and get somewhere else to take advantage of the event. So I'll do that now. There is a faint glow there for sure, but it's dropped off big time. It was so bright, especially that beam. You know, I picked that up in the camera there for the video, but that was about it. There was no way to shoot that. But the night is still young, so I might as well head somewhere else and see if we get lucky. So I called it quits around midnight. I've woken up at 3 AM to go to the bathroom, and the sky is just going crazy. Enough that I ended up waking the family up to look, and we just enjoyed watching it together outside the house. But I'm hitting the road now. I've got to get back out onto a location and hopefully get an image, because it looks incredible. So let's go again. Well, pretty much lost for words. It's been another 2 hours now. It's about 5 AM, and it's just not stopping. Get absolutely ballistic. Big beams, reflections in the lake. Oh, unbelievable. You just wish you could teleport to different locations. That's the only downside. What a night. I've been trying to film as much footage as I can. It's so hard, obviously, but I'm not time-lapsing. I'm trying to get real-time footage and just mixing up the compositions here. It's so fun. Just picking up the light in the sky and the way it keeps changing and shifting, some color every now and then. Have tried to mix up the comps a little bit, tried a handful of other locations, but yeah, it's pretty limited here without driving too far again, which I'm not going to do now, not when it's getting so close to the dawn. What a night, guys. I'm so glad I could bring you along for that one. Now, look, some of those images were actually from back in May when we had an historic Aurora event. I'm sure some of you may have seen it, and you certainly would have heard about it. I was running a workshop at the time. That was a real blessing, but it meant there was no way I was obviously filming for YouTube, but it was nice to share some of those images because some of you did ask me about that. Now, what we're going to do now, quickly look at the raw files from last night. That was incredible. And I want to show you the raws because people always ask, you know, how does it look to the naked eye? How edited are the photos, etc. I've pulled up the raw files here. Now look, every single time is going to be different. It just completely depends on the intensity of the aurora, the moonlight, the cloud, so on and so forth. But look, it can be so spectacular like it was last night. Enough that I'm dragging my family out of bed at 3 a.m. in -3°C. It was just that special. Sometimes it won't be as strong, but maybe the camera can make it look strong. Lots of factors involved, but it can certainly be something you'll remember for the rest of your life if you get to witness a really strong display. If you follow me, you know I don't really shoot much astro. I just like light, and this is why I capture the aurora. The aurora is light, a bit more exciting to me than, say, the Milky Way. But it's the processing I find real tricky because you'll see, like, look at these images here, the colors that are getting picked up. We have a big dynamic range. You have highlights in the aurora, but then the dark shadows in your subject matter. And the second you start processing something, it's really hard to make the most of what you've captured, but try to have integrity and, you know, somewhat stay true to maybe what you saw, because ultimately it's just not what you quite saw. And again, I'm not saying it's not spectacular to look at, but it's just different when it comes to the raw files. So a common thing I'd probably do is brighten up an image if it was a bit dark. I like to always try and reveal some of the details in the distance to create that depth. So in this case, it'd be potentially using a brush and just bringing up some of the darker tones in this background, probably not to that extent, but anyway. And then for the sky and foreground, that's why I often go heavier contrast and darkening that down. That's how nature works. The sky is always brightest on the horizon, so I typically do that in my processing. Doesn't matter if it's astro or not. And that way it's helping push the eye to that center point. Now, one of the big tricky parts as well, it's the color. This is the color untouched straight out of camera. You know, typically I'd like to cool them down a little bit. It has more of a night feel to it, in my opinion, when it's cooler. The magentas, you know, at the end of the day, like last night, I could see that color for sure, especially back in May as well. The green was very faded though, but you can see the camera really hits the greens pretty hard. So look, it's subjective, it's personal opinion. I'd probably sit somewhere around there. Let's do a before and after, and just a few slides, you know. But what the camera is picking up is not necessarily what you're looking at either. Even if it's an iPhone, the iPhone can make it look spectacular as well. So I don't know, I feel like, yeah, the processing's tricky. We'll go through it in another video, I think, maybe step by step, a bit slower, and try to make the most out of it. But all in all, look, a memorable night. You know, by this stage here, look at this time, this is about 4:30 in the morning, but gee, it was just going ballistic. Absolutely incredible, 10-second exposure. Look at the sky, look at those beams up there. Just so fun, and you're watching it just blast through the dark sky. Just incredible. So hopefully you have the chance to get out and maybe see it yourself someday. It can be very good, and if you maybe see a weak display, don't think that it's always like that and all the photos must be manipulated, because obviously there are times where it's just so good, so mind-blowing that you don't even want to take photos. You just want to sit back and watch it. So quite a few variables here through the night. You can see earlier on it was so much weaker, especially as the moon was still up. Then it dropped off, moon eventually went down, and then yeah, by the end of the night when we had proper darkness and the aurora just fired up, absolutely incredible.
I think I'll keep an image from the night, probably leaning into one of these later ones, maybe a more simple shot. So I processed that one for the YouTube thumbnail. So yeah, we'll have a look. Look, unfortunately, I couldn't get to anywhere highly unique. For me, it's always got to be about the subject matter first and foremost. To me, the sky is not the subject matter. It's got to be in the landscape. And I couldn't really get somewhere new. I shot the first location back in May, but slightly different comp, so I may still hold on to one of these. There's the bright exposure there, the 2-minute exposure. But just the Aurora intensity had obviously dropped off quite a lot. Then later on in the evening, also I've shot here before with the Auroras, is quite close to home. But yeah, I don't know, I really like one of these ones. I just like how strong that glow was. So I did zoom in and go for a more simplified comp, which I hadn't really done in the past. So I might look at processing one of them. Anyway, if you want to learn more about capturing the Aurora, how to forecast it, the settings, everything like that, just check out that other video I have. It's more of a tutorial, and I shot that one back in 2023. We had a pretty special night there as well. Otherwise, if you have any questions, please leave them below. And as always, thank you so much for following the channel. It means a lot. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. That just helps the channel to grow so I can keep giving you these types of videos. Anyway, time to get some sleep. Thanks again. Hopefully see you in a video soon.